Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Haunted America. Today's show features another longer Reddit ghost story sent in by Reddit user Street Cal. And the name of the story?
Our hotel room was already occupied.
This story plus our thoughts and comments on today's episode of
Haunted America.
Before we get started with the podcast, if you guys would like to get your hands on some of the same equipment we use when we're out there investigating, check out the links down below to equipment such as spirit boxes, REM pods, and EVP recorders. These are just a few of the things that can help you get started with your own investigations. We do get a small commission every time you guys use one of our links.
And please rate and review on whatever platform you're listening on. It helps the algorithm and pushes us out to newer listeners. Also, if you would like your stories read on the show as part of America's Encounters, email us at hauntedamericapodcast@gmail.com. That's hauntedamericapodcast@gmail.com.
Now, let's get into the show. Alrighty, let's get right into it. Once again, this story was sent in by Reddit user Street Cal, and the name of the story, Our Hotel Room Was Already Occupied. I prefer to stay in hotels and neighborhoods with lots of local character because I like to be fully immersed in the personality of a city. I've stayed in dozens of historic hotels across Europe and the US, many of which claim to be haunted. While all were beautiful and some were creepy, I never saw anything truly weird until a few months ago. In November of 2024, my girlfriend and I traveled from the US to London. We decided to stay in Soho due to its central location and unique character. After nearly settling on Mimi's Hotel, I stumbled upon a lesser-known place just down the street called Hazlitt's. As soon as I saw the photos of the rooms, I knew we'd be staying there. We checked in at 3 p.m. on a weekday. There wasn't a whole lot of activity in the lobby, so we were probably one of the only guests in the hotel at that time. Our overnight flight had taken 8 hours, so to recharge and adjust to the time change, we decided to nap for a few hours before going out to the pubs. Our room key simply said, Sir William Ross.
We walked up an old Gregorian staircase until we found a door with the same name. The lock clanked, the door creaked, and the floor squeaked as we stepped into a small Gothic vestibule. Through another old door, and then into a fully wood-paneled room where centuries of paint covered moldings in thick globs. The weak autumn sun, obscured by clouds and heavy silk, failed to adequately light the room, so I switched on a lamp. The bedroom was cramped, but well appointed with various antiques. Above our fireplace was an unsettling painting of a frowning man. My girlfriend undressed and immediately climbed into the heavy oak bed, where she seemed to fall asleep almost instantly. I lingered in the bathroom, brushing my teeth and admiring the historic details. I glanced into the silent bedroom, where something caught my eye. The next few moments lasted probably only a few seconds.
At first, I thought I was looking at another oil portrait. Once I had initially noticed, but then I realized it didn't have a frame, nor canvas. It was a man, maybe in his 30s, standing near the corner of our bed, looking down at my sleeping girlfriend. He had parted and wavy brown hair of medium length, and wore a dark jacket with large lapels. Okay, I don't understand all this old stuff. His face didn't suggest anger nor malice, but a neutral observation, or perhaps mild curiosity, as though he just walked into the room and didn't expect to see someone sleeping there. The door to our room was locked, so I had assumed a hotel worker had entered, and was about to tell him the room is occupied. But then I realized it would have been impossible for him to have entered our room in absolute silence. That's when I noticed his clothes and hairstyle again. The reason I initially mistook him for a painting was because he looked like a character from a Jane Austen movie, but dressed simply and more somberly.
My brain started to connect the dots. So There's a guy I've never seen before in our room who looks like he's from another century, who somehow entered without making even the slightest sound, even though this old hotel is creaky as hell. In a quiet panic, I felt a surge of adrenaline. It can't be.
Holy shit, that's a ghost.
I was in total disbelief and caught off guard. I had always heard stories of hotel ghosts appearing in the middle of the night, but not in the afternoon, nor visiting almost as soon as you've checked in.
He wasn't transparent, nor floating, nor glowing, nor a mist. It just looked like some guy was in our room. He didn't say anything, and I never saw him look at me, only at my girlfriend. Still standing only 15 feet away, with only an open doorway between us. I felt an intense sense of vulnerability, like there was some invisible spotlight on me. Now, growing up, my parents have only ever lived in old houses, so this wasn't my first weird experience, although it was the first one in probably a decade. I don't like to give these kinds of things attention, as I think it encourages them to interact with you even more. It kind of does. So I pretend like I didn't see him and turned my back to the sink. Still brushing, I ran the water and began to unnecessarily and clumsily jostle our toiletries around, trying to make some noise. I rinsed my mouth and turned back to the bedroom. He was gone.
I stepped back into the bedroom with the feeling of being watched. There was nowhere a grown man could have hidden. I was obviously spooked, but slid into bed and told myself that I was just tired from the long flight and seeing things. Despite my unease, I fell asleep and the rest of our trip was amazing. I even proposed and got engaged, but that's another story. Now, some may question my response, but what was I supposed to do? Scream and throw my toothbrush at him?
Yeah, that's the logical response.
Which would have woken up my girlfriend and made me look crazy. Jump through a window and become a ghost myself? Run out to the hotel half naked and be laughed at by staff? The room was already paid for and it was going to be difficult finding a similar place in central London without taking out a mortgage. The best solution was just to ignore it and hope it left us alone.
According to lore, the hotel is supposedly haunted by the ghost of William Hazlitt, a writer who died in the building and who the hotel is named for. I found a portrait of Hazlitt, but to be honest, I don't think he looked much like the person I saw, although I suppose it could have been him. The rooms are named after his friends, which explains the name on the key, but other than that, I don't know anything else about William Ross. I didn't tell my girlfriend my story until we were on our flight back to the States. She breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you for not telling me while we were still there. She said she didn't see or feel anything weird. I hadn't during the rest of our stay either. But I'd be lying if I say I didn't wake up each night in that room, glancing into the windows, wondering if he'd returned. Okay.
You want to see a picture of what this guy looks like?
William Hazlitt?
That's him.
Dark, wavy, kind of parted to the side hair.
Mm-hmm.
Dark. He said he was wearing something dark, right?
Mm-hmm.
It does kind of look like him. If you guys want to, Google a picture of William Hazlitt.
George Hazlitt.
William.
What's it say?
It says William.
I swear it was George.
No, it's William. Look on your picture. It even says William.
Oh, it does say William.
Yeah.
I searched George Hazlitt.
Well, I guess William is another name for George, isn't it? Something like that.
I'm pretty sure those are two different names, but okay.
No, I thought like William isn't Willie. I don't know.
I
Whatever.
don't know. It's the UK. You never know. But yeah, I was searching up this hotel as we were talking about it, and yeah, that's all legit.
No, the picture that we're looking at right now definitely looks kind of like the man he described, but who knows what the picture in the lobby looked like.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely say you had an interaction with a spirit.
He was creeping on your girl.
And that has to be a strong spirit if you saw him like you would see any other human, with pretty good detail. You were able to describe kind of exactly what he looked like, what he was wearing, the way his hair was, wavy, so you saw detail in the hair.
Honestly, because the buildings and structures in London and UK and Europe are all older, they tend to have stronger apparitions appear, it seems. I don't know if maybe the energy trapped in the buildings has something to do with being able to manifest easier, or what it may be, but it seems like there's stronger apparitions that seem to pop up in the European section.
So some of these comments, nothing really adding much to it, just saying it's a good story. Wish you would have snapped a picture. Think my phone was charging at the time. Would have been prepared.
Yeah, you're never ready when this stuff happens.
Yeah, no.
Very rarely.
He said he was in there brushing his teeth and just kind of freshening up, I guess.
I definitely
And he
would've
turned
tried-
around and saw.
I definitely would have tried to wake my girl up.
Oh yeah, I would have been yelling.
Like,
I would have been
do you
like,
see
"Ghost,
that?"
you see this shit?
Yeah,
Ghost, ghost."
absolutely. I don't care how scared she would have got. I would have been like, I need to know. Do you see that?
And this is why you should always travel with paranormal equipment. Links down below to some of the equipment you need for your own investigations. Huh?
Good segue. I like
Yeah,
that. I like that.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. No pressure to buy though. It is what it is.
No, but go and buy some. That's all I'm saying.
Overall, though, very good story. And I like the fact that you like to stay in these kind of hotels. I would be the same way.
Yeah.
Because you never know what you're gonna run into. Like, you had this experience. You know, this is why you stay in these kinds of places.
Mhm.
This is why us as investigators like to stay at these places as well. You never know what could happen during your trip.
I mean, if
or
I'm
wherever you're
traveling,
staying.
if I'm traveling anywhere and I need to stay at a hotel, I'm gonna look for something haunted close by every time.
We're taking a road trip to Arizona here in the next week or so.
Cross country.
And I think it's in Nevada, which is above Arizona, but that Clown Motel.
Oh God, yeah,
Yeah, I really want to see that place.
that would be awesome.
I believe it's in Nevada. We'll have to do a
Yeah,
little bit more
I think it
research on
is.
it. But overall, good story.
Not
I
scared
like
of
it.
clowns. Let's get that straight, okay?
Yeah, definitely not scared of clowns. Anything else you want to add to the story?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. That was pretty good.
So thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Haunted America. I am Dalton Taylor.
And I'm Just Trapasso.
And until the next episode, this is
Haunted America.
America.